Alright guys, here we go. The road to 2000. The road to Mordor begins here. So I said in my previous video I would share my proposed repertoire for getting from 1500 to 2000. But if you're 500, I'm hoping that this will also work for you. Alright, so I'm sharing a Lichess study here. I will put the link in the description as well. Now I've got this set to 2000, 2200, 2500, so 2000 and up on Lichess, rapid and above only. So we're not looking for bullet and blitz tricks here. Okay, let's dive in. I'm going to keep this relatively short and sweet. Right, so we're going to start with white. And first of all, let me just kind of set out the parameters of what I'm looking for. I'm steering away from the tricks and the traps. Okay, and the gambits to a degree, right? Because, I mean, my goal is 2000. My goal isn't to reach FIDE Master, okay? And so I'm looking at what works against 2000 players and even 2500 players. And if that means, if a gambit works, we might try it, okay? So, but overall, I'm looking for more solid things that will see me through, and this is what I'm going to play in Blitz. It's what I'm going to play on rapid games. It's what you're going to see me play in every game on the channel. It's what I'm going to play in over the board matches as well. I've got a match on Monday, for example. Okay, so let's go. As white, I'm sticking with e4. I looked at, for example, the Catalan and stuff like that because it's very, very solid, but so is the G3 Vienna, and it does very well. So if they play e5, we're going to go Vienna. And pretty much whatever they play now, we're just going to push G3. Okay, we're going to carry on. This does well, 53% against 39 win rate for white at this level. Plus, we're going to try and transpose into this in various, other openings as well. So that's all we're really going to look at on that. Against the Sicilian, and I had to give this some thought. And the other thing, of course, as well, is I'm kind of sticking with the F-pawn break theme, okay? Because it's just, it's cool, right? And the F-pawn break you do get in the G3 Vienna. That's kind of the whole point. You're just not throwing the F-pawn out straight away. So we're not playing like a King's Gambit or a Vienna Gambit. But the idea is that we will generally castle kingside, throw open the F-pawn, get a rook on the open file, and have an attacking game. That's kind of the personality that we're going for. So with that in mind, I've gone back to the Grand Prix. All right. So rather than the Smith-Morrow, and Smith-Morrow is absolutely fine up to 2000, no question about it, right? And it's attacking it and everything else, but it is a gambit. So there's a couple of things here. Knight c6, and then we're just going to hit we'll hit the knight with the bishop in this case. Okay, we'll try and trade the bishop off the knight. They will very often go here, and then we'll play the knight out, and they take, we take, and we're in familiar territory. 55% win rate for white here. If they play d6, which is the second most common move at 22%, sorry, they play d6, we're going to go straight away with f4, and we're into our normal kind of close Sicilian Grand Prix attack. We're going to bring the knight out here. We're going to get castled, etc. Okay, happy with that? So that's against the Sicilian. Now at this level, interestingly, 2000 upwards, you'll get e5 31% of the time, and you'll get the Sicilian 31% of the time. So we're going to practice both of those. Grand Prix attack should be good. What about the French? French comes in third, okay? And here again, I'm rewinding the clock. Gone is the Dime gambit. Obviously, it's a dumbass opening, as the name suggests. So what are we going to do? We are going back to the King's Indian attack, right, with d3. This is going to throw your French players off. It is the fourth most common move, but it's only played 3% of the time, okay? And it does jolly, jolly well. So they will play d5 because they're French players, okay? And then we can play Queen e2. You can also play Knight d2. You're very often going to go for a kingside fianchetto. Lots and lots of fun. So most common moves are this, and you bring out your knight. and white is winning 63% of the time from here, and your French player isn't going to know what's hit him. Okay, on to the Caro-Kann. Now, it's so tempting to stick with my von Hennig gambit, but see, at this point, if we go knight c3 and they take here, the von Hennig is good, and it scores 53% for white. However, I'm thinking fantasy variation. Again, going back to something that I have played in the past. It isn't really refutable, certainly at this level. It's called the Maroczy variation, according to Lichess. But if they play the most common move, which is d takes e4, then white is doing very well indeed, thank you very much, with 55% win rate against 39. Okay, we take back with the f-pawn, we've got a monster center, and that should be good. And again, it's not the most common variation, and it's known for being quite dangerous for black, really. So Caro-Kann players, let me know what you think about that as well. Okay, in 5, the Scandinavian. I'm going to stick with what I've done before. Right, I don't want to go down the Scandi line that they know. I'm going to play d4, and we're going to go into the Black Mar Gambit. If takes a knight out here, the Black Mar Dima, I'm probably going to stick with the von Poppel. All right, because it's a load of fun, and you can get quick wins, and it's absolutely solid. There's no particular line here. c6, the very rare c6, and c5 do well for black. But all of that can be studied. Okay, now in 6 we have the perk. So here I'm suggesting knight c3. Okay, most common move, knight f6. Stop me if you've seen this before. It's a Vienna g3, but this is an improved version. 54% win rate from this point for white. They've made life difficult for this dark squared bishop, and we know what we're doing. Basically, we might get in d4, d3. We're going to maybe get a bishop, Wilfie and Keto. A knight's going to come to here, right? I'm old, I'm stupid, I don't want to have to study too much, so, stick to what we know. See if we can transpose into the Vienna. The 7th most common move that you'll find after e4 is going to be the modern. And here, I couldn't resist myself, right? You can go d4, and then after this you've got h4, the Harry attack. White's winning 55% from this point. You can even play h4 here on move 2, which is 54% win rate. Okay, so it's going to be the Harry attack against the modern. It's just a load of fun, and it's very rare. 1 in 50 games, so we're not going to lose too much sleep over that. What about Alekhine defense? Knight out here. Now, this is really, really solid for black, right? Black is going to be in his comfort zone. This is probably the best opening if you want to knock white as an e4 player off his perch straight away. You've pretty much got to advance the pawn and accept that you're in Alekhine territory, right? d4, but then here, knight f3, defend these pawns, and it's actually 46%, 46 for white and black here, and we're just going to play chess. So this is the modern variation of the Alekhine's defense. Okay, just a couple more slightly rarer ones. The Nimzovich defense with one knight c6. We're going to do this again, right? With Vienna g3 players. So we're going to transpose. These are the most common moves. And again, we win 55%. And so we don't really have to worry about that one either. Finally, for white, as an e4 player, we've got Owen's defense, and that's just really bob-ar, to be fair. We'll play d4, and we're just going to play chess. All right, white already wins 54% from here, so don't play the Owen's defense seriously, guys, because we've got a huge centre. Black's king side is completely undeveloped. I'm not going to lose any sleep over that. Now, it kind of gets interesting for when we have the black pieces. So, against the Italian, I've got to stick with the Russo gambit. It's a love of mine, right? A lot of the time, 28% of the time, they'll take the pawn and they're just plain worse. If d3 or d4, then white does do better. It's true. But if they develop the knight, white is worse. If they trade on g8, white is worse. There are a lot of ways for white to go wrong. You can take my Rousseau when you price it out, my cold dead fingers, basically. But if they do this, I'm thinking I'm not going to go for the Lucchini. Probably just play d6 and play on here. Now, the computer prefers white, but the real-world results prefer black at 52% versus 44%. Okay, so that's okay. The King's Gambit I have messed around with an awful lot. And bottom line here is the King's Gambit at the stronger levels is not super solid, really. It is basically refutable. I've messed around a lot with this c6 line. I did suggest this bizarre looking f5 thing as well, which is a bit weird. But I'm thinking we'll go with the Falkbeer counter gambit. You get the King's Gambit a fair amount. But yeah, I think I'm going to study that and just try and refute the King's Gambit, to be honest. And if it means a boring game, which you very rarely get with the King's Gambit, then so be it. Against the Roy Lopez, no, there's no issue here. We're sticking with the Schliemann/Janisch. It does great, you know. If they take the pawn, black's much better. They've pretty much got to find like d3, stuff like that. I know it well. I've played it over the board. I want to keep playing it. Now the Scotch. The Scotch is interesting. And I have decided that although it doesn't do well at the titled level, which is above where I'm aiming for, I'm going to try and stick with the Steinitz Scotch. Okay, there are a couple of lines where white can eke out an advantage, but more often than not, I get into a middle game, very often with the queens off the board and I'm a pawn up, and it's just a good exercise in just trying to grind out a win with black being a pawn up. They're not always the most exciting games in the world, but I'm happy with it for now. And I love the fact that it's rare, and I love the fact that it knocks white out of his comfort zone quickly. I mean, obviously there are other things that white can do. You might have the Scotch Gambit here, which is dangerous. I mean, and seriously, guys, the Scotch is a fantastic opening with the white pieces, right? It really is super spicy and dangerous. So here, I'm going knight f6. And this is a standard kind of counter. Black actually wins 52% from this position, so we'll get some of those. We'll get some Scotch Gambits. There's no question. Against the Bishop's opening, no real issue. We're going to carry on with a Calabrese counter gambit. 49% win rate for Black against 47. No worries there. Next up, you're going to get the Danish short centre game, and here we're just going to spoil White's fun with Queen e7 on the third move. So pretty happy with that. If they don't go for the Danish, they go queen takes, then you can develop your knight with tempo. This is White's best option, really. This is the Kieseritzky variation, and you know, it's tricky. The computer here prefers black after this, and you know, we're just into kind of playing chess, really, again. Now, this one's interesting. Against d4, okay? And I'm really shocked about this. Against 1d4, we're going to play knight f6, and whatever white does, apart from one move, whatever white does, we're going to play c5, okay? Bear with me on this. They play c4, you play c5, okay? Black wins 49 against 44. They play knight f3, you play c5. Black wins 47 against 45, right? Every single line, black is better. They go London style, right? We play c5, 51% win rate against 41 for black, okay? Knight c3, we play c5, 49 against 44. Bishop g5, the trump, okay? We can even play that. Or you can play your knight out to here, which is maybe more solid, okay? But this works well against the Trompowsky. Against e3, right, we play c5. 51% against 42 for black. Against, sorry, that's e3. c3, same thing, okay? 50% against 42, right? So we're going to get these positions where we know what we're doing and they don't. If they go for the Tartakower, like a King's Indian style here, again, c5, it's 52% for black against 41. Right, this is just great. This is so cool. Right, f4, the canard opening. What the hell? Right, we play c5, we're winning 52 against 42. Okay, so this is my Swiss Army knife approach against 1d4. That's going to be a load of fun. So off we go to Mordor all together. Which way, Gandalf? Right or left? Left. You know, and yeah, let's do this. So yeah, hope that's inspiring for all of you guys out there. So like I say, this is now the repertoire I'm going to play all the time. I'm going to try and become, if not an expert, then at least adept in all of these lines. So yeah, wish me luck, come along for the ride. And it doesn't matter what rating you are, if you're sub at 2000 now, you may want to join me on this road. Okay, we'll see where it takes us. All right, thanks for watching. See you soon.